Hello, everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. We are continuing on as promised with the mashup guide, or how I learned to stop worrying and learn to piece this together. Now, when it comes to mashing things up, I mentioned before that it helps if there are some similar things to work with. There's some similar parallels and the like, and the more disparate and disconnected the subjects are, the more work you have to do to try to tie and stitch them together. It, well, really, what you want to mash together are going to be similar genres. They mesh more easily, especially early on, starting out, when you're thinking about all the different themes and elements that you can stitch together. It's easy to put together things like one sci-fi genre with another sci-fi genre. Dystopian sci-fi works with whatever kind of science fiction sort of setting you're going for. Dystopian themes and elements just mesh nicely. Actually, they mesh nicely with pretty much no matter what the setting you want to go for. Dystopian Wild Western sort of setting is certainly not all that far-fetched or beyond belief. But I will say, the more disparate genres that you have that you can put together, you can create some very interesting results, but they will require just a little bit more work and a little bit more thought in trying to interconnect the things so that they blend and come together seamlessly. Because what you don't want, in most cases, is for things to feel out of place, for something to feel a bit inconsistent with the world you're creating. Because if you just are blindly throwing in references, things without any thought or consideration, those things will stand out and stick in the player's minds. Maybe once or twice, like, that's a funny joke. Okay, great reference, love it. But if you keep going without really making it fit properly, it's just going to feel a bit disconnected, and the players are going to notice and pick up on it. It's just like if you poorly prepare and poorly describe a scene for any campaign, i.e., like my friend Matt's martial arts campaign, where we were looking for a sacred idol to a monastery our characters were from, having no idea what it looks like, and we went down over to town 1, then to town 2, and town 3, where finally we find a temple with no name, and inside we find everybody's been murdered, but they've all been murdered a different way. You need that kind of thing where you don't have that preparation, and those details kind of locked together ahead of time will stand out to your players and will be more likely to draw them out of the game. And also, because it feels so disconnected, your overall ability to tell the story is just going to be, even if you have some details, a plot line, and descriptions ready, it's still going to feel a bit sloppier, a bit more stutter step, because you have to kind of think about things and justify them ahead of time. Whereas if you had either blended in very similar things with consistent and compatible enough themes, it might have blended together a bit more smoothly. Or if you put in just a little bit more time to interconnect these things a bit, then it could have come across better. So matching or tying these different themes together will be important. And just as a very stark example of this, Firefly, a great show if you haven't seen it, is a mashup. It's a Western frontier meets sci-fi, because the sci-fi society has, well, the frontiers are different planets, different regions of space. So a lot of this takes place out on the edges of colonized space. So there is a more Western feel to it, and it includes those themes of a dystopian disconnect, as the inner core planets are better colonized, they're richer, they have a greater degree of technological mastery and industry in place, whereas out on the frontiers, because it's just barely settled and so far away from logistics and chains of supply, the Alliance doesn't send out as great a degree of support to those planets. There's a sense that the people are left to fend for themselves more often than not, and that's something that you can bring together in your own game if you're meshing different things together. Now, just as an example of this, when I say parallels help, they really do help. And here you will see on the screen that I have set up something where you blend together Fallout New Vegas and Futurama. And as an example here, we have Robco, Mom's Friendly Robot Company. Easy thing to mesh together right there. And going along with that, we have Securitrons and Roberto. And so Robco produces a series of robots called Robertotrons. Then you have the Mojave Express and Planet Express. Again, simple and easy enough to match up and put together there. Then you have the NCR Rangers, Brannigan's Rough Rangers. The New California Republic, pair that up with the Bureaucratic Republic. Well, some of these I've just kind of meshed together off the top of my head already, but you know, the bureaucrats from Futurama, blend that with the New California Republic, and well, you still get a nice big bureaucratic mess, probably even larger than what you had before. Then Deathclaws, just throw that in together with the giant anteaters of Santa Anita, and you can come up with more things to put together, more similar items that you can easily use to mash up and help stitch the world together with a greater degree of accuracy in a way that feels consistent. And it will be a great deal of fun. And just as a bonus here, I'd commented on a random thing, and I just wrote out a bunch of flavor text just kind of as a bit of fun. And if you'll permit me a moment, I'll go ahead and read that for you. Well, when you get to be the delivery boy of the Wasteland Express, you learn a few things about life under the stars with your loyal companion Nibmeat and Dr. Zoidberg Gannon. You gotta watch out for the sewer ghouls, for one. Sure, some of them got a nice little community flourishing down in the sewers, but one dip in that toxic lake will irradiate you faster than an old-fashioned Elzar's quantum pie. You've also got to keep your eyes out for rogue Momco Robertotrons. They've taken up a predilection for stabbing folks. And be careful at the casinos. The three families of the robot mafia don't take kindly to strangers running their own numbers through the ones and zeros of their profits. There's a lot to worry about here in the wasteland, no doubt about it. Two-headed buffaloes, giant anteaters of Santa Anita, the Bureaucratic Republic, just to name a few. But life's still beautiful out here under the stars. And some say Mr. B is still at the center of New Vegas, too, wandering around the Lucky Robot's Foot whorehouse. Once upon a time, that was supposed to be a bright, shining beacon of Americana packed into one of the most luxurious casinos. But Mr. B. Bending Rodriguez decided to forget the casino, the blackjack, and stuck with the hookers. He still has his eyes on New Vegas, the Bureaucratic Republic, and their fight with the Box Network legions. Like I said, I had a bit of fun with that. And I hope that was at least semi-entertaining there, and the flavor text helps give you an idea on how to detail and populate this world and mesh these two different settings together. It helps that they're both sci-fi. And it helps that they both rely on levels of technology that really aren't all that well explained. Well, you know, relatively. So, with that said, I think we can go ahead and leave this here. This has been a relatively short one, thankfully. Again, preparation. It all helps make everything go together and flow together much more smoothly. So, bring that to your notes when you're assembling your worlds for your players to run through. And if you've enjoyed today's content, well, hell, go on down below and hit like, comment down below, let me know. What are some things that you have mashed up before? Comment down below there. Let's share the ideas, spread the wealth around with everybody. I think there's a lot here that we can take apart and reassemble back together into new, unique, fun experiences for all of our players. And if you've been enjoying content here so far, well, I've got 2 other videos that are going to be popping up here. Maybe you'd be so kind as to go over and take a look at them. I know I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you've been enjoying things so far here, maybe consider subscribing to the channel. I know I certainly will appreciate it. But we're going to go ahead and leave it now. Thank you all so much for your time. Have yourselves a good night.